I'm Max Waltner.
I'm Alex Stuva.
And we did our muckraking project on the living conditions and housing conditions in San Francisco and the Bay Area. So the main problems are that the housing in San Francisco and the Bay Area is very expensive, and another problem would be that the jobs don't pay enough to support for the housing.
And so would you say that the income would be one of the main causes of the problem?
In San Francisco and the Bay Area in general, housing is a very, very expensive proposition. Whenever you have a depressed market, for example, or where the housing market is so bad at this point, the rental prices go up. If people can't afford to buy, they have to live somewhere, so they have to rent. And when they rent, the landlords will certainly see that there's more demand than there is stock. So the prices of rental units go up, sometimes disproportionately, making it even harder for folks to find housing and live somewhere.
So upon asking Kyle about his previous living conditions, he stated that because my job didn't pay very much, I had to put away about 3/4 of my money for rent, and the rest of the money went towards paying for my food or my clothing. And so, because his rent was actually so high, he was unable to afford basic necessities such as like his food, or proper food at least. He would eat a lot at fast food restaurants or get snacks from gas stations or like mini marts. He was unable to put money away for if he was planning on having a kid. He was unable to put money away for Karen, and he was also very unable to put away money for savings or to pay off his car. And then when I asked my mom about when she used to live in San Francisco, she said that because she was living off of welfare, she also was unable to keep up with her rent, and the welfare that they gave her was almost too little, and so what little money she did have went directly for food, and she would either get Kyle to pay for her clothing, or she would have to ask my grandparents.
To the other side, the people that don't have the best living conditions, or the homeless people, is there anything that they can do themselves to maybe maybe earn more money and get an apartment, or learn to improve their living conditions?
Well, that's a challenge. The folks that are low income usually have a job, but the job that they have doesn't pay enough for living expenses and a rental unit. There's always ways to improve, but the time just isn't there. Plus, most of the folks don't have enough schooling to go on to higher paying jobs. Just off the bat, there's always possibilities of going to secondary schools or get more schooling and or training, but that again cuts into time you have to spend to make a living. So you have to work, go to school, and or feed your family if you have a family. So all of that becomes increasingly difficult if you don't have high-paying jobs.
Upon an interview with my dad, he said that the regular population, the rental market and the house sale value is way too high for what people are making. They're earning it's not enough to even support a small apartment for themselves. So my dad says he sees a lot of large population couch surfing or double bunking because of this, because it's much easier for people to stay at other people's houses and split the rent than to just afford one small apartment all by themselves.
Okay. And then is there anything that local citizens like around here or in San Francisco or the Bay Area, is there anything that they could do to help improve the living conditions? Like, can you name a few examples?
There are some examples that when neighborhoods actually become neighborhoods, they become friendlier. They are not as compartmentalized, and invite development of these housing projects or programs or developments into the neighborhood, because the development itself brings jobs, the maintenance and continued taking care of a property will bring jobs. We put supportive services in housing to help those who are really needing the help. Those are jobs that go in there. So.
And then one of my dad's coworkers, her name is Corinne. We asked her about some local city attempts, what they have done, and she passed us on to a recent proposition that has passed by 65% called Prop C. Prop C was is basically just a proposition on increasing the housing funds. So, for example, Prop C, the Housing Trust Fund will be a long-term source of funding for new affordable housing and also help moderate income and market rate housing by dedicating a slice of discretionary city spending. Along with this, my dad also said that developers that are asking for funds for new developments or new housing plans, 10% of the income or the stock or how much they're given to build that will now go into low income housing rents, so that people so that low income earners can afford new housings. And in my dad's office, they call it artificial rent, so that even in new developments in the nicer parts of the city, with this artificial rent, people may still afford it and live in it because of the city's actions to take 10% of the building funds and put it into low income earnings. And then another point of Prop C is that the measure sets aside $20 million in its first year and increasing amounts thereafter. So that means over 30 years, that proposition would generate more than $1.2 billion just towards increasing the housing and living conditions for people within the city.
A solution to the problem that we have addressed would be higher wages and jobs, as well as financial aid for low-income people,
as well as decreasing the rate and the monthly rate that people have to pay for housing, because as you can tell, it's too high for what people are getting paid.